going on, world? This is Solo from Kali Combat, and you are watching Off the Block, a Kali Combat 52 FMA home study course. That's 52 blocks with FMA, Filipino martial arts. So we'll be going over how to defend attacks with 52 blocks and how to bring in the FMA, Filipino martial arts concepts, into play. 52 blocks in itself is a block then counter system, defense then offense. And FMA, because it's a weapon-based system, a stick and blade weapon system, and it's hard to block a stick with a stick, then use striking blocks and double up on blocks. So the empty hand is also offensive defense with simultaneous counters and offensive recounters, which we'll be going over this entire course, so pay attention. Ready? Let's get it. First thing we have to go over in order to understand the defense in this system is angles of striking. Aside from jabbing and stabbing that come straight in, there are 8 angles of striking. That's up and down, side to side, and crisscross. So naturally, you have to defend from those same angles. 52 FMA, like I said, is offensive defensive system. So we'll use the block as the offensive attack, destructions and gunts to set up the traps and finishes. Skull and crossbones, knowledge. 0 equals 2. 0 equals 2 because 0 is the center point of a negative and a positive number times itself. There's a -1, a 0, 1, etc. So we'll look at 0 as a center point where the crossed arms meet in the middle of the X formation. Notice how this crossbones X formation has 4 outward corners, 2 hands and 2 elbows. That's the positive. And in between those 4 are inward corners, the negative. That's 8 corners. For positive strike, block, destroy, and the negative blocks, traps, locks, and controls. And remember, a -4 and a +4 is still a 0 until a number is added, let's say a punch. Now, the force or resistance will determine which side of the 0 the punch will go. And you can manipulate with the push-pull techniques. If they push, or if they push against, that's the perfect time to pull, and vice versa. We all know the police signature move is to get the arm and put it behind a person's back. Law enforcement, military, special forces, they all train to get the arm because the arm holds the weapon.
You see, the thumb gotta be opposite to the elbow.
Some train to look at body language, stance, even pay attention to the hand that has more damage or has larger knuckles. So you know the chances are they'll use that hand if a weapon is pulled. And it's much better to get the arm before the weapon is pulled. You don't want to get into a wrestling match and then they pull a knife. Mastery, only through repetition. It's hard to catch an arm without the right trap or grappling techniques. And they have to be practiced in order to work. There's no shortcuts. Except for running drills with a partner, because you can bust out hundreds of reps in a short period of time. And once you catch on, just like anything else, get good at it.
Targets we're going for is the radial nerve and the ulnar nerve. And the radial nerve goes all the way up from the fingertips all the way in through. It goes under the elbow and travels up to the armpit. So anytime the arm's extended, you can reach that, so you can stay out of range, which is important for knife or blade defense or anything like that. You stay out of range and you can still hit a target inside the arm or right under the elbow. You come from the inside or come to the outside, and that's what we call destruction. Destructions and gunting. So destructions are destroying the arm that's coming to attack you. So whenever the arm's extended, you can destroy the arm, or you can pass using triangle steps and trap work, or just covering to get in, to get that arm, then hit that pressure point. So we're incorporating 52 blocks with FMA because for different reasons, like if you're dealing with multiple attackers, you're gonna have to use 52 block covers to cover and move out. And if you're dealing with somebody with a weapon, it's good to use Filipino martial arts because you can't just use cover blocks. Somebody's swinging a stick at you. You want to go after the arm.
In empty hand combat sports, you are mainly training to defend against the most common empty hand strikes. In boxing, it's jab, cross, hook, uppercut, overhand. And in MMA, it's the same, but you have to defend against leg kicks and takedowns, etc. Defend, then counter, get position, then attack, which is good. But in no rules reality settings, most weapon attacks come from downward angles. And if you only block the arm or the hand, the weapon can keep its momentum with the bend of the wrist and still hit you. We call that technique abanico.
There's abanico. If you only stop the arm, you get hit with abanico. Abanico is basically the Spanish word for fan, or Tagalog word for fanning, the fanning motion of the stick. So if you hit the wrist, the stick can still come and hit you, or bat, or knife. Any one of those can hit you, just stopping the wrist. So you want to be able to, using these double blocks, so we can gain position of the wrist and not let it bounce. So we know which way it's going to bounce. So we want to get it out of the way, gain position. 52 blocks in itself is a defense and then offense system, like boxing and a lot of other arts. And Filipino martial arts, because it comes from stick fighting, and it's hard to just cover up and block a stick with a stick. You use striking blocks and angles to stop the stick.
If they block your hand or the arm, we use the twist of the wrist, the fanning motion, to strike the weapon from around the block. So you can't just block the hand, and if you only block the weapon, you're probably going to get hurt. So we have to take these factors into account, because fighting with and defending against weapons is very different from empty hand.
And shifting it either way off the block, so you'll feel which way they're pushing, and you'll just follow the movement. If they're pushing this way, you'll be able to trap and hit, or if they're moving that way, you'll be able to come to the inside. One of the most common training techniques in all Filipino martial arts is running drills with a partner, and just to gain muscle memory, sensitivity, coordination, timing, speed, and just the feel of everything, how to pull back.
One of the most common training techniques in all FMA is practicing drills. FMA is a weapon-based system, so many of the drills will be practiced with kali sticks first. But in the empty hand system known as punangkutan, this drill is very similar to the block parry check mate drills, known as hubad lubad. Only we're using the crossbones in the initial contact. Instead of blocking with one hand, we are blocking with two and controlling with two, rolling to one hand. You could do either because it's a sensitivity drill and you can switch it up. There's a lot of drills such as tapi or mano mano, etc. These drills are similar to the chisao drills practiced in Wing Chun. Both systems rely on sensitivity drills to build coordination, timing, sensitivity, speed, etc. Doing a lot of repetitions. Kali Combat has a lot of drills using 52 FMA, mixed blocking, which we'll be going over towards the end of the course. Typically in FMA, like I said, they would train with double weapons first, then single weapon, then employ empty hand, because that's how it typically went in battle. You lose a weapon, you fight with one. You lose that weapon, then you fight empty hand with the same flow. Unless you have a backup blade, then it's pass/stab. Same old, mano mano. Off the block, to the lock, and now the bop. Here's a few examples using the 8 angles of striking concept off the first block. And you can use these techniques and concepts off of every block, which we'll be going over throughout this course. FMA machete hand concept. The blade of the arm represents the blade of a machete, and the strikes represent the chopping, slashing, and stabbing motions of Kali knife fighting. Kali Combat empty hand striking uses the hammer fist in a way that the hand comes back into a block. Same way the swing of a machete would follow through, fall into its chambers. Looks a lot like 52 block covers. Elbows pointed out. And 52 block elbows represents the moving shield, the armor. 52 FMA empty hand, you're actually learning weapons. Going over 52 blocks versus Kali locks. Let's get it. And we're going over 52 blocks versus Kali locks. So we're going to use the 52 block covers and Kali trapping so we can get in the range. Pull off that lock. Alright, let's go. Well, like we went over earlier, the block parry check mate drills, hubad lubad. We're going to go over a drill for every block, for every cover block that we're going to go over in this DVD. But while running drills, it's important to practice the techniques within the drill so you can go into the drill and practice getting a destruction or a lock. This one we're going to use crossbones. So you can bring it to the outside
You come under the arm and back. Straight, slide under, and back. Crank. Slide under, get an arm, and crank. And we're also going to use that cross step. Damn, I'll show you later. We're going to use the cross step to get behind the leg. One, two, and step behind, and it's a sweep down to the ground. The reason we're using a lot of these locks, the concepts come from stick fighting. So we're using our bone just like a stick.
The concept of push and pull is heavy in Filipino martial arts. The concept of push and pull at the same time, that's based off the lever and fulcrum concept, using leverage. In FMA, the kali stick is not only used as a striking tool, it's used as a lever or a pry bar for joint locks. And in empty hand, we're using the forearm as the stick. 52 blocks, aka Jailhouse Rock, is alleged to be a prison combat fighting system, a martial art practiced in the cell blocks of the USA. And there's a lot of theories as to where it all began. Some say it originated in Rikers Island in the 60s by the 5%ers. And it's a mix of boxing and a variation of hand-to-hand combat styles used by incarcerated military veterans, known as Comstock style. And others say it's an ancient African warrior art called mantu. And the handplay is said to come from the movements of a shield, much like the handplay of Kali originates from stick fighting. "52 blocks and Kali are both dirty boxing taken to the next level. No rules, close quarter, 360 combat, and fights can go to the death. Much like Kali, 52 blocks has been battle tested in prison fights, riots, you name it. Filipino martial arts has also been battle tested over and over throughout the many wars since the Spanish Crusades in the 1500s. Many attacks from the much larger Spanish armies failed. Philippines has been to war with Japan, China, Britain, US, invasion after invasion on the small islands, revolt after revolt, David and Goliath. But the martial arts were found to be practiced way before the invasions even started. Philippine Islands has always been at war with themselves. These tribal battles have been going on since the beginning of documented history. Filipino warrior arts have long been the backbone of Filipino society, and preservation of these arts is what kept the Filipino island from permanent domination of foreign powers. Many say that the Filipino art Kali originated in India and that it was brought to the Philippines by the people who traveled through Indonesia, and that it originated from Silat. Since, Kali's been proven to be an effective fighting system, so effective that the Secret Services have adapted its techniques. Combat with a K, or combatan, is currently practiced by the Philippine military and the police. So, coming down and bringing it up.
and then you keep your body up against it. Boom. And see where it's locked right here, and we're gonna secure the lock at the top.
See, this is the police signature move because it's effective and it allows you to get behind. Overstand, all predators in the wild aim to attack from behind. You have been watching Off the Block, a 52 FMA online digi course. That's 52 blocks in Filipino martial arts. So overstand, this is not the full system. For one, we are a weapon-based system, and we will have courses on the stick and blade soon. But this is off the block, so it's just the beginning for 52 block practitioners to get a basic understanding of how to use FMA, Filipino martial arts, after the block. And for FMA practitioners to get a basic understanding of how to use 52 blocks before flowing back into FMA. So, understand that 52 blocks is not just blocks, and it's not 52 blocks. It's a full system of combat. Okay? And it's been used in the penitentiaries as jailhouse rock. So it's been proven as a close quarter combat system, just like Filipino martial arts in war, in combat. So this is not the full system. For FMA, we're just adding a shield right now, and we'll be going over it later. So we're just bridging the gap between the two styles to make the best way to, and go over the best way to make it flow. 52 FMA.